I'm continuing with these teachings that I've been sharing with you guys on Sundays. My background is in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, so very important teachings in our tradition are these teachings called Lojong, which translates to mind training. Mind training. And it's set in 7 points, 7 points of mind training, and in those 7 points there are 59 slogans or maxims, or little verses. You could even say little things, how we do, we place on a sticky on our refrigerator, be generous, just a reminder, So these slogans are, for practitioners, these slogans were meant for us to kind of put this into our mind. Very simple, short little verses that would help us to progress along the path. We don't have to be, this was really meant like for the lay people, the lay practitioner in Tibet, because if you're familiar with Tibet, there was a lot of monasteries. The culture was very much practice, a lot of monks and rinpoches and things like that. So the folks, the lay people were, they just needed something very simple and basic. They wanted to be practitioners, but they didn't have time to become a monk or a nun and practice for days, all day long practicing. So they had their lives. But they wanted to be a part of this and learn the Dharma, study the Dharma, kind of bring these teachings into their lives and bring them to life. So this teacher, Atisha, an Indian who came to Tibet, left these teachings, and this other Tibetan monk compiled them together into these 59 slogans or maxims. So right now we're at point 3, the second half of point 3. Last time I taught, it was the 3, this has 6 slogans. Last time I taught three slogans, and this time the remaining 3. And point 3 really focuses on patience, to start cultivating patience. And point 3 is, the title of the point 3 is like to transform adversities into the path of awakening, into the path of Bodhi, we say. So this is really, practicing and working with our patience, because we have, if we can't work with patience if nothing, kind of jolts our life, right? Kind of makes us go like. And we usually think of, we're studying Dharma, everything should be great, everything's coming good, I'm a practitioner, but then adversities come to our lives. Something shakes up what we consider our normal day or life, and how do we respond? So this point is to bring everything in life, all the pleasant, all the unpleasant. Can we make that? Can we bring that to use it as an opportunity to help us continue on our path to awaken, to be in the world more fully and awake and kind and compassionate, So this point here, the last slogans on this point are seeing confusion as the 4 kayas, 4 practices are the best methods, and whatever you meet unexpectedly, to join with meditation. So I titled this talk, May Confusion Dawn as Wisdom. Because as I mentioned, we think of confusion as something, we see it as, we don't want that. We don't want something that shakes up my world. I want everything to be, in its place and easy for me to work through. But here, the instruction is, may confusion dawn as wisdom. So that's interesting, because we think of confusion and wisdom as 2 different things, But in reality, in essence, they're 2 sides of the same coin, As I said, we want pleasant, we want an easy road, easy path. Something disturbing, unpleasant, shakes us up, we don't want it, we want it out of here. And we even, we kind of go back to our habits again of like, I don't want it like this. I want it to change, But as practitioners, we're learning and developing into seeing that as an opportunity to awaken, a confused state of mind, something that shakes us. Can we use this as fuel? So here, the slogan, the first one, seeing confusion as the four kayas. Four kayas, kaya means body, like a body, like a body of work, a body, just a body, not like a physical body. So the four kayas in Buddhism, it actually starts with three. The three kayas, specifically in the Mahayana Buddhism, they talk about them, is the Dharmakaya, the Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. The Dharmakaya, so the Dharma could be all experience, all phenomena. Dharma is like the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha Dharma, but Dharma also means all phenomena, all appearances, everything. So the Dharmakaya could be just the whole, without preconcepts, the don't know mind that we speak about. This is the Dharmakaya. The Sambhogakaya is like Sambhoga is the body of enjoyment, they call it, which is like the energy. And then Nirmanakaya. Nirmana is the emanation body. So the Nirmanakaya takes form. So from the Dharmakaya, the basic space, uncertainty, openness, and the energy, the Sambhogakaya, and then the Nirmanakaya. You can see it, you can describe it as a tornado. When you see the conditions coming together, cloudy, that's like the uncertainty, the Dharmakaya, and you see the clouds coming together. And you see a few things pick up, that's the energy, the Sambhogakaya, and then whoosh, you see the shape. That's the Nirmanakaya. Now that energy is like formed, and you see the tornado. So on the way over here, I was thinking about that. It's kind of like that, it's just like from this. I've never experienced a tornado, but they say it's like really still, and people can tell when a tornado's coming because everything's still. The animals have moved to a safer place, but everything's still. There's some staticky. That's like the basic space, the Dharmakaya, the uncertainty, the don't know, and then the energy, the conditions coming together, the wind, the moisture, and then it starts taking form, the Nirmanakaya, the form. And Nirmanakaya is actually the Buddha also. The Buddha is a Nirmanakaya. Because the Buddha is awake. So the Buddha was awake, right? He attained enlightenment, but he continued to teach. And he taught, in the form of the Nirmanakaya. We can see the Buddha. There's Buddhas where we can't see because they never took, the Nirmanakaya. They never took form to teach. So seeing confusion as the four kayas is the unsurpassable shunyata protection. Shunyata is emptiness, if you're familiar with that. So here, with this slogan, once again, we are joining what we usually consider as undesirable with practice. In this case, it is confusion. At first glimpse, this slogan seems rather obscure and even esoteric. What kind of confusion? What are the four kayas? What is shunyata? And protection from what, So here it says, in everyday experience, it is often hard to pin down what exactly is happening and why. Whenever we begin to figure things out, there is always some kind of slippage. Things begin to make sense, but just almost and not quite. We keep trying to chip away at our confusion to straighten it out, to get rid of it, imagining ourselves somehow coming out on the other side into a non-confused state where everything is workable. But according to this verse, rather than getting rid of our confusion, what we really need to do is to examine it, and in doing so, transform our view of it. We need to look below the surface to how we perceive reality altogether. The point here is that if we really look closely at the way our mind works, even in the midst of confusion, we always find the same process, one of continual awakening. This process is described in terms of what are called the four kayas, or bodies. Through careful attention and meditative practice, we begin to see how every perception begins with uncertainty and openness. The Dharmakaya. This is the Dharmakaya. Uncertainty and openness. Every experience, every moment, we're in the Dharmakaya, this basic, uncertain, don't know mind. And then starts to come into focus, the Nirmanakaya, the form starts taking place. Then develops energy and begins to come together, the Sambhogakaya. And finally clicks, synthesizes immediate present moment experience. The fourth body is the Svabhavika, kaya. Svabhavika is the essence. So the essence, synthesizes immediate present moment experience, the essence of the Dharmakaya. It is as though confusion is awakening in disguise. The pattern of continual awakening, seeing confusion as the four kayas, is paired with one continual letting go. This is the emptiness, the shunyata protection. The letting go is the actualization, the realization that everything is temporary, is transient. Everything is just appearing and rising and it's paired with one continual letting go, shunyata protection. So in this slogan, not only do we transform how we view confusion, but we also see that although it may seem solid and intractable, fundamentally it is empty. Combining all this, when we see everything as empty and awake, we have no ground to defend and nothing to protect, which is the most excellent protection of all. So even, seeing confusion as the four kayas, so whatever experience we're having, that we might perceive as unpleasant, I don't want this, it's actually awakening. It is awakening. It is, the Dharmakaya, the unknown, the not knowing, the uncertainty. It is the Sambhogakaya, that energy that's working everything, And then Nirmanakaya, taking form, and then passing on, and the energy coming again, from this basic space of not knowing, uncertainty, So even, like I mentioned, an unpleasant situation, we could see it as an opportunity to look closer, look deeper, and seeing it's just energy, When we don't have this, we're not trained in this, just this letting go, this final, shunyata protection, the emptiness protection, letting go, because we know it's temporary, it's not solid, permanent, and we know there's nobody here, this ego, this is happening to me, it's just a path, it's just energy. It's just a tornado that's whoosh, and then magically goes back into the ether, So an unpleasant situation, as I mentioned, if we're trained in this way, we're training, is to see it as, interesting, Even to just have that kind of an attitude, interesting. But our normal attitude from that uncertainty, unknown, and then this energy comes, it could be, maybe Thanksgiving dinner, that relative who has a different point of view than we do, comes into the room and we're all like, right away this energy comes. Nothing's been said, but the filter of our experience, what is that? That's the me. Oh, I don't like that uncle. I don't like that relative. They're always, So that's, from the unknown, uncertainty, the basic space, the appearance, and then the energy, and then the form. But an unawakened point of view, a point of view of self-reference, me, is, the form is I don't like, right away, before even a word has been spoken. We're already filtering our experience with the ego, Rather than seeing the experience, the energy, we can feel the energy, it's energy, but having an attitude of like, oh, interesting. That's the turning confusion into wisdom. Not being fixated on the external, the appearance, the energy that's coming up and taking form, but being curious about our reaction, and how we filter every experience with ego. Ego meaning me. Oh, I like that. Oh, I really like that. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't know. I don't care. I haven't figured it out yet, But if we can, be in the world, remembering this, seeing even, a confused state of mind as the opportunity to wake up, We don't have to change anything. We don't have to, there is no confusion. The confusion is a point of view. The appearance is just appearance. If it was confusion, if it was unpleasant, it would be like that for everybody, right? But maybe this relative who we have issues with their history that we see on Thanksgiving, maybe another relative, they're fine with them, So that's the shunyata protection as well. The emptiness, that it's empty. This, Uncle Joe is empty. Meaning what? There is no Uncle Joe who, confuses me, who bothers me, who's, opinionated or whatever. Because if there was, then why does he bother, Aunt Flo? Aunt Flo loves him. So that kind of tells you something, that it's not fixed, solid. So we can just experience it. Yeah, we might still have that energy of like remembering, but we don't have to like hold on to that and filter our every experience. So that's seeing confusion as just energies, just the natural process of awakening, which is every moment, After we sat, I was going to ask each one of you, like, how do you feel like now after meditation? But not to think about it, just your direct experience. How do you feel? But we didn't. I forgot I had to give Travis the floor, so we didn't have time. I didn't want to run out of time. But I was, for me, just like what came to mind was alive. I feel alive after sitting. And alive could be, under the weather. Alive could be angry. Alive could be happy. But it's just alive. It's just, wow, I can experience. So even like something, a confusion, somebody hits my car, bam. I could go into a rage and curse the world, curse the driver, or I could be like, oh, that was interesting. Interesting. Wow, are you okay? Not, look what you did to my car. So this is going through the world in a different manner, more fully, more, alive. Because in a way, when we filter our experience with that me, the experience has died. It's dead. It's just like we're making it something. We're not letting it. It's already flowing, magically, and energies. Things are appearing, but we have frozen the experience. Me. What about me? Look what you did to me. Look what you did to my car. So seeing seeing confusion as the four kayas, just I was wondering how I was going to talk about this, because unless you have some background in Buddhism and these terminologies, it's kind of tribal language, but it's really just that. Just this Dharmakaya is the uncertainty and the openness, just like that's always the background, always. Whatever we're doing through life, the Dharmakaya is the basic space, the background that's holding everything. The uncertainty, the not knowing mind, And then the Sambhogakaya, we call it the body of enjoyment. There's the energy that, we have this open mind. Like in meditation, it might be fine just sitting, and all of a sudden the thought comes from this morning or something, that we got an argument with somebody or something, and now that energy, now we experience that energy in our body, and then we're not present anymore. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said, come back to the breath. This is our guide. The breath keeps you right here, present. Because the energies are happening even when we're sitting. We're sitting in that uncertainty, that don't know mind, but thoughts come into the mind, right? Or somebody could drop their water bottle and disturb your meditation. Now you're angry at this person, and now that energy, right? Then again, rather than just let things happen as they're happening and experience that, we're like, Travis and his water bottle. So that's that slogan, and here's a tip for practicing. In your sitting practice, pay attention to the arising and dissolving of perceptions. Notice how your sense of self seems to arise simultaneously with each perception, ready to respond to any threat. Notice a subtle undertone of fear. What are you actually protecting? You might even do that when we might be meditating. We kind of fall asleep and we're like, I hope nobody saw me shake, or did anybody see me move, that fear but we can just experience it. And be grateful. Now I'm awake again. you know. I was getting drowsy and kind of like getting droopy, but that's transforming our view. We don't have to transform the appearance, the external. It's transform our view. And then the next slogan is 4 practices are the best methods. And this verse is very straightforward and action-oriented. It lays out 4 specific practices to incorporate in our everyday life. The first practice is to accumulate merit. And that's a term used a lot in Buddhism, in Mahayana Buddhism specifically, the accumulation of merit. And merit, we think of like a merit badge, right? Or some kind of like stripe or collecting something, you know. But in this sense, from the Buddhist perspective, merit is accomplished by, you know, positive deeds, positive actions. You know, doing, like I said, this is action-oriented. So we're accumulating merit by, you know, giving Tuesday, give what we can, you know, material, our time, you know, accumulating merit just in our everyday life. You know, what we're doing, even with our response to an experience. We're accumulating merit. Merit meaning this is an imprint in the mind. If we're experiencing something unpleasant and we can remember the previous, right? See confusion as the opportunity to wake up. You know, that's accumulating merit. That's not like, oh, now I got 1, now I got 2, but more like we're changing what we're putting into the mind, what imprints we're putting into the mind. And the more we do that, and habituate ourselves in that way, the mind is, you know, it's an accumulation of merit, you know, positive. We see things. We you know, our perception is different. Begins to see it as everything is an opportunity, as I mentioned, to be of service or to wake up. You know, just how can I help? Not like what's in it for me. You know, I don't have time for you now. I'm dealing with something. You know, but because of merit, this is a habit. We're always open and giving. Not just on Tuesdays, you know. And the second practice is to lay down evil actions or harmful actions, you know. And this is really just seeing what we do, you know, throughout our day, throughout our life that causes harm, that brings harm, and what brings benefit, you know, what's helpful. So being just aware of that, you know, this is a practice to avoid harmful actions, you know. The third practice, it says here, is to offer to the dons. The dons is a Tibetan word, but dons are attacks of neurosis. It says here, sudden attacks of neurosis that seem to come from nowhere in a sudden burst. When you are taken aback by such a neurosis, the idea is to take that as a gift. Again, take that as an opportunity. You know? It shakes you out of your complacency, so you should be grateful. You know? So, it's like the story I was sharing about Thanksgiving, or anything that just kind of, you know, we're practicing meditation, we want to be more in the world, more present, we're mindful, but sometimes somebody might shake it up, right? I remember when I first started to learn to meditate, I would come home from work one specific time, and I went into my room to meditate. I'm sitting there meditating, and my partner at that time, you know, she pounds on the door, opens the door, she's like, "Dinner's ready!" Slams the door. I was like, damn it, can't you see I'm trying to meditate? So that was, you know, this, rather than just see it, oh, but I mean, I was just learning, so for me it was just like I needed the conditions, a quiet space, you know, and that shook me out of it. If that happened now, I might still yell at somebody. I don't think I would. I think I would probably laugh. I would go, interesting. I'd probably be like, oh, okay, you know. But this is what we're going to experience as we're refining how we live. We want to be more fully in the world, more present, you know, really seeing what causes harm and what causes benefit, what's happening, and just adjusting and how we're functioning, you know, seeing our triggers, you know, our neuroses. How do you see your neurosis? It has to appear. And sometimes it has to shake you, you know. So this, the third practice is to offer. So this, we're grateful. At that time, that's what I could have done. I could have been grateful for my partner yelling at me, dinner's ready, and slamming the door while I was meditating. It's like, just, that reaction that came up, just to see that, that was exposed. The light of awareness was shining on that, So that's the third practice, to just be grateful for when we are shaken up. When we are shaken up. Take it as an opportunity to progress, A lot of people tell me sometimes, I've been meditating for a long time, I don't know if I'm progressing, or how do I gauge, is there progress, am I moving? The only progress is just this is how we progress, to just experience, have a direct experience of everything. And it's not always going to be pleasant. It's going to be unpleasant. How do we respond? Not how do we react, how do we respond? To be a first responder. And that takes training, right? These firemen, these guys in the paramedics, it's not the first day on the job, they've been training. This is to become first responders, not first reactors. Oh my God, there's a fire, what do we do? Get the hose, get in the car, get in the truck, let's go, So that's what we do. We're training to become a responder, not a reactor. This is our habit, reactivity. And the fourth practice is to make offerings to, here it says the Dharma Palas, or the Dharma protectors. The Dharma protectors are, they are guardians of awareness. If you look at Tibetan Buddhism, if you're familiar with it, they use a lot of imagery, a lot of paintings and these demonic-looking creatures, Mahakala, and people think they're demons or something. In a sense, they are, but they're protectors. They're to protect the Dharma, but they're really, it's like the guardians of our awareness, So again, when we see something that's unpleasant, shakes us up, like I mentioned earlier, like this, our neurosis, that's the Dharma protector. We could take it as the Dharma protectors, exposing that for us. So we're grateful, we make an offering to them. What offering do we make? Ritualistically, there's offerings that they make, they do, they recite these texts that they recite, but really the offering is just the awareness. Compassion and awareness is the offering. What are we offering? Just to be open, awareness, and compassionate. Compassion, from a Buddhist point of view, is to the wish for others not to suffer. What is compassion? I don't want someone to suffer. So when we do, we're perhaps too confused with whatever's appearing for us. If we have just a glimpse of the awareness, that's the Dharma protector, as we say, that's helped us. And we're grateful, So we make the offering of awareness and compassion, because we understand from our own suffering, we understand that others are also suffering. So as we develop that, when we meet someone who's yelling at us, because we see that it's confusion, and they're not trained to see confusion as a moment to awaken, but they, because of their self-clinging. I'm angry at you. This is what you did to me, so they're coming at us. But us, because we're training and we're seeing the world differently, we see, this is just confusion. And we respond how we can. Perhaps responding is just leaving the room, going away, Not easy, but this is why we call it practice. This is why we call it a practice. And then the last slogan is, whatever you meet unexpectedly, join with meditation. And, unexpectedly, again, just adversity, right? Doesn't mean we're at Thanksgiving dinner and we see Uncle Joe come in, or and we go into the next room and sit down in meditation posture, Joining with meditation means awareness, mindfulness, being present, awareness. and compassion. That's when we say join it with meditation, join it with awareness, meet it with awareness, whatever we meet unexpectedly. Meet it with awareness, rather than like, oh no, oh man, last week this is, again, filtering our experience with what's not necessary, but having this fresh outlook. Even though suddenly we know, like, oh, here comes this guy again, but let go. Notice that. Oh, look at that habit. Let go. Catch, release. But we're not trained to release. We catch. Oh, here comes Travis. We're like this, holding on. Hey, Travis. But we can catch that energy. Oh, and then we let go and just experience. Meet it with meditation, awareness. Just awareness is non-judgmental, no filter. It's just naked awareness. From this basic space of uncertainty and not knowing. This don't know mind. The knowing mind says, "Oh, here comes Travis. I know he's gonna want me to give on Tuesday again. I know." That's the knowing mind. The unknowing mind is like, Travis, hey. Meeting it with meditation. So here, the recommendation here, it says, in order to join experience and meditation, it is helpful to begin by noticing when that does happen. Practice is to pay attention to losing it, when we're losing it. Strangely, simply seeing such moments more clearly, without too much judgment or commentary, is a way to extend an attitude of practice more consistently and deeply into our ongoing activities. That's easy, right? Just seeing such moments clearly, clarity. They say meditation, helps us, it develops clarity and strength. Seeing clearly, just really seeing clearly. That's it. Join with meditation, like I said, doesn't mean go into the next room or pull your cushion out and plop ourselves down and get into the posture and, No, it means seeing clearly. This is what we're doing when we're training. This is just formal training. We're just training it. This is like the gym. But out in the world, this is where we should keep this. They call it post-meditation, but really taking our practice off of the cushion. We don't just leave it here at LBM, at Long Beach Meditation. Take it into the world, Join whatever you meet unexpectedly with meditation, with awareness. Join it with awareness and compassion. Why compassion? Because when you see, someone yelling at you or flipping you off on the freeway because you cut them off, know that it's just confusion. It's suffering. That's a compassion. Oh, they're suffering. So that's the last slogans on this point here, the point of transform all adversities into the path of awakening. So, thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to my babble. I hope it was clear, because there's some terms in there that perhaps are not so clear. But if you have any questions on that, or any comments on how we can bring adversities, things that we don't want in our lives, like if we're coming here, I'm coming here to meditate, because I have a lot of stress, so I want to just kind of de-stress. All right, that's good. But remember, from the Buddhist point of view of meditation, we want that stress. We want to see that stress. We're training here to build that muscle to work with that, but we want to see, clearly. And seeing clearly, sometimes we might say, "Oh, I wasn't expecting this," But because we're training here, we're stable. The posture is so important. We talk about the posture. We carry this posture through our lives, throughout the day. Very, not like, "Oh, here comes my boss." We're like, "Yeah, hey, We're awake and relaxed and kind.